for a Whale, which I kept calling The Song for the Whale, but it's not called that, by Lynne Kelly. So one thing that I noticed when I was reading this book, and I didn't notice it when I first showed it to you guys, but do you see this tree line here? They're not just trees being reflected. They are frequency. They're frequency things. And I didn't notice that until I was like reading the chapter headings and it had it without the colors. And I was like, wait a second, that's frequency. And so the story of this book is this little girl is deaf. And when she finds out about this whale who is Blue 55, she decides that she wants to make sure that he knows that he is not alone in the world and that there is someone out there that hears his song. And so she decides to create a song for him, and she makes it her mission for him to hear the song and for her to actually meet him when he hears the song. And so she fixes radios, and that's like her big talent. And so that ends up factoring in into a lot of her adventures. And then also, she had a really, really strong relationship with her grandma and her grandpa, who were also deaf as well, but her grandpa passed away recently, and so the book also covers her relationship with her grandmother and how that evolves throughout the book, which I just thought was absolutely gorgeous. The book was written by a woman who is an interpreter for the deaf, and she's not deaf herself, but she is an interpreter for them, and she based a lot of the character of this girl on students that she has worked with. And so there's a few overarching themes in this book. So one, there's the song that she's made for the whale. Two, there's all of the radios that she's constantly fixing. Three, there is how she feels isolated in her school because there's no one else that is deaf in her school. And the one girl that tries to learn sign language has no respect for personal space. And everybody keeps blaming her for getting mad about this girl's lack of personal space, but I even got mad at this girl's lack of personal space. I was like, dude, like, get out of her face. Like, she's constantly getting in her face. It's really, really annoying and really, really frustrating. But that's like one of the major plot lines is like her dealing with being the only deaf person in her school, while her best friend, who is also deaf, attends a school that's specifically for the deaf, where everybody is deaf and everybody's constantly signing, and she really, really wants to get into the school. And so trying to deal with that is like one of the major plot lines. And like I said, her making the song, and then she ends up going on a journey to try and meet this whale. And so that's like a huge, huge part of the book. And so there's like a lot going on, but at the same time, I loved it. I read it really, really fast. I cried. Like, it was heartbreaking to think of all the things that this girl was going through and what the whale is going through, because there are some chapters, like this one here, you can see it's got the whale on it. Those chapters are actually from the whale's perspective. And they're usually just like 1 or 2 pages that are thrown in every few chapters. And they talk about this whale and what he's struggling. Now, Blue 55, which is the whale that's in this book, is not an actual whale. He is based off of Blue 52 or 52 Blue, who is a real whale. And so the reason she created her own whale for this book was so that she could take certain liberties with him. For instance, this whale is specifically a hybrid between a fin whale and a blue whale, whereas 52 Blue, they don't know if he actually is. And I guess Blue 55 is a rhyme in sign language, which is really, really cool, because there's this game that she plays where they take like a symbol, like a certain hand movement, and they have to use that hand movement throughout the game, and it like molds like what they're saying, like molds as they go along. I don't know how to describe it. You have to read it to understand how to describe it. But I guess Blue 55 is one of those rhyming words that would fit in with that. And so I learned so much in this book, especially about the whale. So reading about the whale and her listening to his songs by like putting her hand on the speaker and feeling the vibrations made me want to go and listen to his songs and his vibrations. But you can't I guess we can't hear the songs, Whale songs, because Blue 52 sings at 52 hertz, which I think they said was like the 13th key on the piano. But when you actually try to listen to it on your phone speakers or on your computer speakers, the speakers can't actually play it. Like, it's not strong enough to play it. And so that, like, was really weird. And so then I tried to listen to the Whale songs that are actually at the, like, 15 to 20 hertz that they're supposed to be. And I couldn't hear those ones at all. They have to speed them up, like, 10 times and make them, like, 52 or 520 hertz or, like, 200 hertz for us to be able to hear them. And, which is weird because I used to listen to Whale songs when I was little for soothing to go to sleep. And these did not sound anything like that. So I don't know where the discrepancy was in there. I don't know if I was just looking up the wrong Whale songs or what. But, so reading this made me want to learn about that. There's also a chapter where the dolphins are riding on his back. And I was like, that's not a real thing. That can't possibly be a real thing. It's a real thing. I looked it up. And it's a real thing. And so I'm actually going to be putting, like, some of the links that I found down in the description because I thought it was so interesting, like, some of the things that I was learning in this. And, like, the radios that she was talking about, like, she likes to repair really old radios. And so it was really, really cool to hear about, like, all these super old radios. Like, there was so much that in this book that just inspired me to want to look up other stuff and read and learn about it that I couldn't help it. Like, I loved this book, especially for it inspiring me for that. And I think this would actually be one of those books, too, that I would want to, like stealthily leave in a bunch of little free libraries, because I think this would be a good book for kids to read. Especially, like, kids that are feeling, like, different or isolated, or just even things to inspire, like, hobbies and stuff. There was at one point that I got really mad because I thought that her mom said they were going to throw away all of her radios, but it turns out they were just putting them in the garage. And I had read garbage instead of garage, and I, like, freaked out, and I went back and read it. I was like, oh, okay. Like, she's not throwing away her radios. But and I loved how independent this little girl was. And I loved reading about, like, the town that she lived in, and this book was just awesome on so many levels, like, so cool, and I enjoyed it so much. I would definitely recommend everybody go and read it. Like, everybody go and check out this book. I think you can really, really learn a lot from it, and even if you don't, it's just a fun read, but really, I think you can read a lot from the book. And it made me want to go on cruises. I mean, I've always wanted to go on cruises, but this book really, really made me want to go on a cruise and see Alaska and just all kinds of stuff. And they don't actually mention the Northern Lights in the book, but there's, like, Northern Lights in the picture. Possibly because she goes to Alaska, and, you know, Alaska's known for their Northern Lights. And then, like, on the cover, I mean, it's not that big, but there's a whale, which I just think is cool. But yeah, this book is awesome on so many levels. Like, I enjoyed this book. I think you'll enjoy this book. It is a middle grade level, but go and read it anyway. Everybody should go and read it. Go and read this book.